Kate Ferguson, political editor at The Sun on Sunday, joins us live from Liverpool from the conference. Kate, how's it going? Are you digesting those lovely left-wing vibes over there in Liverpool? How is it feeling?
Well, it's good. It's good to be here. Good to speak to you here. I diligently spent much of the day in the conference centre listening to the Chancellor, her big speech, and then speaking to her aides afterwards. So hopefully shed some more light on what's going on here for you guys.
Indeed. So what is the latest? Because she was challenged this morning, Rachel Reeves, about raising VAT. She said, I'm not going to do a budget right now on the telly, 2 months ahead of one. She was then further pressed, understandably so, that no, just a line on VAT will do. But now apparently we've got the Chief Secretary of the Treasury who is giving a bit of a hint on this one.
Yeah, it's actually quite confusing. So obviously in that Labour manifesto, they made a tax promise. Yep. Their tax promise is not to increase income tax, VAT or worker NICs. Now they've changed their kind of language. So whenever Rachel Reeves is asked about this, she just says, I stand by the manifesto. But she's not properly ruling out that VAT rise. I think we're all a bit confused. I mean, we had a briefing with one of her Treasury people here earlier today. He said, look, that tax promise was in the manifesto and we are still committed to the manifesto. So he seemed to be ruling it out, but in public, the cabinet ministers are using this kind of mealy-mouthed language, which I think will make everyone wonder if VAT is on the table.
Yeah, that does. You're right. I spotted that as well. You know, we stand by our manifesto pledge, which, of course, we've already seen when they hiked up national insurance, employee national insurance, that many saw that as a tax on working people. If you own a small business and you only employ a couple of people, that's a tax on a working person.
Oh, they were dancing on the head of a pin with that one. You know, they'd made these tax commitments in the election, then straight away dropped that, what was it, £40 billion tax bomb? It was a massive sort of nuclear bomb of tax almost. Yep. And they said, oh, well, we hadn't ruled out employer NICs. So are they going to... They could kind of make that argument. I mean, it wasn't very convincing, to be honest, but at least there are these two types of NICs and they had stuck to the employee one. But they ruled that out. That is one of the only promises they made in their manifesto. It was ruled out. So if Rachel Reeves does come back on November 26th, hiking VAT, having promised not to, I think that's going to be very, very tough for Labour. But she's got this £30 billion black hole in her finances. And here at Labour Party conference, they want her to spend more money, right? They're talking about lifting the two-child benefit. They want more railways in their areas. When you're in conference centre, the only things that get big cheers are when they list spending commitments they've made. Yes. So she is stuck between a rock and a hard place. But if that VAT goes up, that's a big betrayal of voters because they promised them no VAT rise. Yeah, and we saw the, one Labour MP, Graham Stringer, told us earlier on the show that Rachel Reeves' speech was like something that you'd hear Fidel Castro give. Now, I think he was talking actually about the kind of crowd cheering along. I'm not absolutely sure Rachel Reeves would take that as a compliment. I don't know, she didn't have her kind of Che Guevara t-shirt on, you know, like she was a teenager beret, again. Yeah. I mean, you do, the beret, exactly, the kind of little neckerchief. Look, you do get this at conference, particularly Labour conference. They're playing to their base. They're reeling off their achievements. They're slagging the Tories off. This year, they're slagging Nigel Farage off. And the kind of party-based get up, diligently clap. There probably is something a little bit sort of Soviet, a bit People's Republic about that, I suppose. But it's just a kind of the way it's done here. Graham Stringer would have seen it a million times. Yeah, of course he has. Of course he has. Then we had that curious moment. We've got the Home Secretary speaking this afternoon in around about an hour. But that's already sparked some controversy because, of course, yesterday we had Keir Starmer doing the rounds telling everybody that Nigel Farage and Reform's policy on immigration was a bit racist and immoral. They were literally his words. And then today we learned that actually Shabana Mahmood may be giving a speech that is sort of frighteningly similar to Reform UK. Yeah, and actually, we kind of know what she's going to say because she sat down with me at the weekend and said a lot of it in The Sun on Sunday. So she's talking about changing the law so it's harder for migrants to settle here, this thing called indefinite leave to remain. And she wants them to pass a kind of good citizen test, this kind of, you've got to prove your social worth. So it's this idea that you don't just have to get a job, but you also need to kind of maybe get involved in your local school, volunteer. This idea you need to be integrated to be part of British society. Now, the interesting thing about this, obviously, Farage and Reform have totally seized on it, because when Nigel talks about restricting indefinite leave to remain, Keir Starmer comes out very strong, saying he's racist, immoral, it will tear the country apart. But his own Home Secretary is looking at some of these same issues. Now, there is a big difference in their actual policy. Nigel Farage says he's going to look at scrapping indefinite leave to remain for people already here. With it, Labour, that would not happen. They're talking about something that would come in and not be retrospective. So the policy is different, but I can see why the vibes are similar.
Yeah, and then some would say that's a fairly nuanced thing. And of course, the Labour Party is a broad church. There will be people within the Labour Party on the kind of Corbyn wing that would see any immigration policy as a bit racist, regardless. So it's going to be interesting to see what she unveils this afternoon and what kind of response she gets in the hall. Tomorrow, of course, it's the leader's speech. Has Keir Starmer got to turn this around? And when a leader gives a speech at a conference, is he doing it just for his party, or is he doing it for the wider country?
Oh, sorry? Oh, it's both. They're doing it for both. So he's going to be doing it to speak to his party base. Sorry, excuse me.
You might well have an earpiece problem there, Kate. Is it back with you?
Shall I?
I think we might have just lost communication with Kate. We'll try and put that right and get back to Kate if we can on that specific question. Yeah, we'll just have a quick chinwag off air and see if we can get it back. I think there was just an earpiece issue as we communicate with Kate Ferguson, who is, of course, political editor, Sun on Sunday, at the Labour Party conference in Liverpool. This one comes in. Oh, in fact, we've got it back. We've got Kate back. Kate, we got cut off by, I think, technology and 4G gremlins. But nonetheless, we were asking the question there as to how powerful, how important is that speech for Keir Starmer tomorrow? Is it just that horrible phrase, the party faithful, or is it the wider country he's addressing?
Oh, hugely important speech for Keir Starmer. It's the country he's addressing. You know, every news channel, every radio station is going to be leading on what he says. Now, Keir Starmer facing huge discontent among his own MPs and the country at large. His poll ratings down in the floor, in the gutter. He needs to start to try and claw this back. We know he's going to probably go studs up on Nigel Farage, as he has the last few days. But is that just going to infuriate British people who are flocking to Nigel in the opinion polls? So that's a kind of dangerous, testy thing for him to do. Yeah. He really needs to have a big thumping speech to win people back over and to make those Labour MPs who've been sharpening their lives for him to put down their knives for a little while. It's
funny, isn't it? And it won't be lost on you, Kate. You do this for a living as well. But isn't it interesting to hear the Labour Prime Minister talking about reform as the official opposition almost?
Oh, yeah, it's so strange. You know, do you remember this thing, the Tory party? You know, they used to run the government, they used to win elections, they used to be a big deal.
They're the people that used to be, they used to be the most successful political party in the world, right? Now, they're not even referenced. Right? They're not even referenced.
Exactly. It's all about reform. Nigel Farage is basically trying to put this line in the sand saying, not Nigel Farage, Keir Starmer, a line in the sand saying, it's me or Nigel. Now, there's two things for that. He's hoping that will kind of unify his party, stop people trying to kind of plot against him, kind of, you know, buck up or shut up, basically, to his party. And to the country, he thinks that's going to maybe build a voter coalition who are nervous about a Nigel Farage premiership. But as I was saying earlier, you know, there is a danger here that Keir Starmer is talking about, you know, Nigel Farage as people maybe saw him a few years ago, a bit more of a fringe political operator. He's now well ahead in the polls. People are listening to him. They obviously like a lot of what they see. So that may be a bit of a gamble to tee it up like that.
Well, a gamble that he's got to take, of course, but we will wait and see. That's tomorrow, the leader speech. Kate, enjoy the rest of the afternoon. That's always an interesting thing to say to somebody at a Labour Party conference, but Kate Ferguson is political editor of The Sun on Sunday. Thank you to her.